What's going on? It's Nova here. My heart, my soul is completely towards Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage right now. Let me tell you why are you here, why you should be watching my video. Well, for starters, if you're a beginner and you've heard of the game, maybe you were like me and you didn't know anything, you haven't engaged in Hatsune Miku content at all, maybe you've heard a couple of songs, and maybe you saw Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage and you want to see what another beginner's perspective is like in terms of the gacha, what the game is like, and the stories and characters, and if it's for you. And as for the people who have already played the game themselves, I want you to take my video and show other people that this game is for them, because it's for everybody. This game may have been already out for 3.5 years, but I want to catch up on all of that because of what I've seen from the story and the characters. I'm already sold. I'm so excited. I'm going crazy, and this is my outlet for it. And I want you guys to just spread my energy all the way out there, and because this is just only after my first 39 hours with Hatsune Miku. So let's scroll all the way back to before the 39 hours. Where am I at with Hatsune Miku? All my life, I've seen her around. Early days of the internet, you know, the Miku with the green onion spinning, the really even polka. I know all about that. I get it, man. Did I know anything about that? No. Was I going to watch her because of that or listen to her music? No, I didn't get any context from any of that from back in the day. So you know I've been growing up with Miku since the dawn of the internet times, okay? Outside of that, I've just seen occasional songs, and even my friends who've been playing it, Project Diva, PS3, or the arcade, you know, where they like slap the buttons and all of that. That's all the experience I've had with Hatsune Miku. Up until one point where I heard a song that just showed up on my recommended. I don't know how, and it was a song called Echo. And it was a very specific cover because Echo was already a song that had already been in the community for a decent amount of time. But this cover was by Vivid Bad Squad, and I didn't know of the difference between them and the original song. And when I heard that, it was the first Hatsune Miku song I kept on repeating, I kept on listening to. But nothing would come out of that until much later. So what drew me to playing Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage? I was bored at work. I was just bored and sad and Balatro-less. And then finally came the time that I listened to my friend who tried to tell me earlier, my good friend TAKONYAKI. She had told me to play the game. I'm like, okay. And I didn't play the game. I didn't listen to her. And now I would finally listen to her and boot up the game for an hour. Because at the first hour of the game makes you do a Pokemon mystery personality test where they ask you questions about just certain things. And then after that, it groups you with a certain group. 5 music groups. There are 5 music groups in the game. Wonderlands Showtime, Vivid Bad Squad, Nightcord at 25 o'clock, More Jump, and Leonid, as well as 6 unofficial group called the Virtual Singers, just made up of the Vocaloid singers that you already know. Hatsune Miku, Luca, Meiko, Kaito, Len, and Rin. But they aren't officially their own group. They kind of interject themselves into the other groups. After the personality quiz that I took, I was leaning towards Vivid Bad Squad because they had one Hatsune Miku song that I knew, but they grouped me with another group called Wonderlands Showtime, a group that does performances and wants to bring smiles to people through their performances. And I was thinking, you know, what does that have to really do with singing and music? And it turns out that each group has something different that they do with music. Wonderlands Showtime, they do performances and acting while also singing during her performances. Nightcord at 25 make music videos. More Jump are idols themselves. Leonid is a group that is a band formed of 4 girls. And Vivid Bad Squad is an underground hip-hop group. So I spent a whole hour taking that personality quiz, and they paired me with Wonderland Showtime. And then I had to go and do work, so that was it for the first day. The first hour of Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage. Comes the next day, and I will finally decide to go with a group. And after doing the personality quiz, they grouped me up with Vivid Bad Squad this time. But you know what? I decided I think I would trust the game's decision and just go with what they thought was best for me instead of me going with what I was most familiar with. So I went with Wonderland Showtime. However, I want to tell you everything about each group because this is what sold me on the game and what is making it so special for me that I'm going to tell everybody I tell about it and basically just keep on playing it until the day I die. That's how special it is to me and how special its story and the characters are for me. But I will do this in reverse. Instead of going from the first group and going through their story, I will go from the last group that I played to the first group. So the first group that I played was Leonid, a group of 4 childhood friends. How interesting could this story be? So we get a flashback where the girl girls are looking up at a starry sky. They decide that they would be friends together forever. Flash to the future where they're all separated, and one of the girls who has been sick for the longest time finally is able to return to school, makes her debut, and surprises one of her friends in the same class. However, when she talks to that friend, Ichika tells Saki their group has been separated and we don't know what's been going on. And every time that Ichika and Saki see the other two girls, Honami and Shiho, in the hallway, treat them coldly and immediately walk away and tell them to stay away, or they just politely tell them they need to go. And things seem very suspicious. And let me tell you about how crazy it got. They start playing this song on their phone called Untitled, and it takes them to this secret world, this place called a Sekai, where apparently each Sekai is created by 4 people's feelings, and they get to talk to Hatsune Miku as well as the Vocaloids themselves as if they were real. They are transported into another place as if they are isekai'd. Aha! So then you start thinking, oh, they're gonna get together again. Hatsune Miku is gonna help patch things up. No, 2 of the girls, Honami and Shiho, tell Hatsune Miku straight to her face, get us out of here. I don't want to be here. I'm like, what? You don't want to be friends? You are in your own place right now. What is going on? Fast forward to later on. It turns out one of the girls, Honami, had broken off from the main group because she had friends who would tease her and make fun of her friends, and she felt like she had to choose between one friend group and the other, and she decided to go with the teasing friend group, even though they were bullies and mean and jerks. And why did you hang out with them? How could they treat you like that? And then Shiho comes in later on, and it turns out that at the new high school that they're at, Honami has new friends also who she's also not as close with, but like she's still close with, and she treats them the same way that like the bullies treated her previous friends. Well, it seems like they're okay, but they also were talking mad-ish about Shiho, and seems suspicious. Seems like the same thing's gonna happen again. So Shiho, she's just like, I don't think those friends are good for you. It seems like they care more about what they look about themselves than about treating other people properly. And it seems like you, Honami, care more about people like them than about us, your real friends. And Honami, she's like, no, it's not like that. It's just for her. I really felt it to her heart when she said it just really hurts, and she was in pain. She was in turmoil. She's in tears, and I felt that I wanted to cry with her too, because that decision, even though it was really hard, she couldn't really pick a side. But later on, they all get together again, and the Hatsune Miku Sekai world kind of tricks them into looking at the same starry skies that they used to look at again. And this world, the Sekai, it is their own feelings. So it's kind of a representation of where they're at in their life, and also what has been in their past, like what they want their future to be. So usually they practice in a classroom, but when they go up to the rooftop, it is a never-ending starry sky with constant shooting stars. And one of the girls, Honami, had been a big fan of stars, and she would express that joy and love for stars to her friends as well, just as much as she would share her love and joy for music. So a lot of stuff happened. They figure of each other, and they look at that same starry guy again, the same one that they looked at when they were children, and they decided to become friends again forever, and that they would also make a band together. Now, what would that band be? They came up with the name Leonid, based off of Leonid, Leonid turned into Need, because they said that they need each other, every single one of them. And they also put a slash before need because it looks like a shooting star. I believe it. So that's the end of Leonid's story. So next up, let's talk about more jump. So what is more jump about? It is all centered around one girl named Minori, a cheerful girl, but at her youth, she was constantly inundated with bad luck. Things would fall over, she would trip constantly, she would mess up, and it just seemed like nothing went her way, and she felt like giving up. But one day, she saw on TV, a show was playing, and she saw a girl the same age as her, but instead, she was dancing in front of millions of people, and she found out that she was an idol the same age as her, and her name was Haruka, and her words would carry her until she went to high school. And the words that Haruka told her and her fans is that tomorrow will come. Tomorrow will be another day. Minori, she took that to heart along with her singing and dancing, and decided that she wanted to be just like Haruka. Fast forward to high school. She is up on a rooftop, dancing all alone, messing up her movement, getting this time after having just failed another audition to another company on her journey to becoming an idol. But you know what she said? She's going to motto, be even more, try harder. She will try even more, and not give up because of her idol Haruka. But then, we see a scene with Haruka where she's quitting being an idol. So we don't know what's going on with that. And then somehow they end up being in the same class together, and she starts helping her out with some dance routine. And then somehow two other girls, Kairi and Shizuku, who are also idols, end up on the same rooftop, and it seems like they also are having a rocky time with their own idol problems. However, they all kind of collectively agree to help Minori out with her journey and becoming an idol. Haruka, she's in a more supervisory mode, and she just decides that she just wants to read her book and not actively participate, unlike Shizuku and Kairi, who actively help her with her dancing and choreography. Now, things get crazy again! This is every single story! Every single story gets crazy, man! So, Shizuku is having a falling out. They all have their thing where they go to talk to Hatsune Miku about becoming idols, and that's all cool and all. But we get back to real life, where life gets real, man. And Shizuku's group, they hate her, dude. She's just trying to be nice. She didn't even want to be an idol in the first place. She kind of got peer pressured into becoming an idol, and she ended up the audition. And then the friends that told her start hating on her. Her own group hates her, and then even Irie got kind of jealous of her, and she mistakenly spoke, and it was an accident. And then Shizuku starts going all crying, and she's about to go tell her group and the manager she doesn't want to be an idol anymore. And I'm like, oh my god! What is happening? And then Haruka and Minori, they're trying to back her up. And then Irie is also going to back up Shizuku because she's just like, step back, let me handle this Woody Sora style. You know, let me cook. Irie's like, you freaking jerk. Why are you treating my buddy? Shizuku, she's bad, so bad. She just wants to bring smiles to people. She wants to be a real idol. And then even after her heart-filled speech, the other girls are just like, whatever. And I'm like, ugh. But you know what? That didn't matter. None of that mattered because Shizuku felt Irie's heart through her speech, that she wanted to communicate that she really believed that Shizuku was her friend, that she was her idol in the same way that Irie was her idol. And it turns out they're all idols towards each other. They all gain energy from each other. But still, we have to resolve Haruka's issue, because guess what? The reason why she's retiring is because whenever she gets up on stage, she has psychosomatic issues where her legs where she just falls to her knees. She starts wobbling when she gets on stage because of like not being able to like live up to some of her fans' expectations of that, tomorrow will come, and she starts disbelieving in herself. And now when she gets up on stage, she just starts shaking and like drops to her legs and can't perform anymore. But then the whole group takes her to Hatsune Miku group Sekai, the Hatsune Sekai. They're like, all right, we'll just watch Hatsune Miku perform. Yeah! Psych! You're going on that stage too, dummy! And she's like, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And then Minori is like, don't worry, I'll be there with you. And then they all perform and dance together as real idols, and she's like, oh my god. She's always loved being an idol, but she was scared because she wasn't able to be an idol. But now she can be an idol again. I'm like, yes, yes! And then they decide to base their whole group name off of Minori's catchphrase. I'll try even harder, even more. And Haruka is like, you know what? I like Minori's catchphrase. I want us to be more jump, because we gotta jump up for joy. And I'm like, hell yes. So the next group I want to talk about is where stuff gets even more crazy. You thought that was it? This is probably the craziest story out of all of them. Is it the one I love the most? Maybe at some point in my life, but not currently. But definitely the craziest to anybody who decides to experience it. We're going to look at Nightcord at 25 o'clock. So just based off of that name, you're thinking to yourself, Nightcord at 25 o'clock, what does that even mean? Well, there's 23:59, right? And then it becomes 24 o'clock, right? 12 o'clock, 12 a.m. And then 25 o'clock is 1 a.m. So you're thinking to yourself, what kind of bunch of edgy basement dwellers who come up with such a name who are on Discord all night? How dramatic can they be as basement dwellers? Let me tell you something. Some of the basement dwellers in life have the craziest stories. They're stuck in the basement for a reason, man. We have Kanade, the leader of the group, who wants to make songs that will reach people because her father collapsed as a result of stress with like him making music himself, and she feels that she was connected to that. And she feels she has taken it upon herself to make music in her dad's place, to make music that reaches people. And then we have Enna, the artist of the group. I was thinking to myself at this point, some of these people don't actually have anything to do with music. I don't know why when you see the music videos within the game, they're all singing and dancing, but they don't actually all sing and dance. But you know what? I'm gonna let that pass. Because you know what? Why should an artist just sit out? You know, let her dance and sing. Let her dance and sing, man. But we have Enna, an artist who uploads Instagram selfies. That's how you know she's also a basement dweller, because she cares about appearances. And then we also have Mizuki. She comes up with designs for the music videos themselves. She likes very pretty stuff. She has her own like mannequin that she dresses up in and stuff, and she comes up with all the designs for the music video. And then we have Mafuyu, kind of a girl who can do it all, person who takes care of the mixing, and is just generally really nice to everybody. But this is where it gets like, I tell you guys have been waiting for when things have been getting crazy. Now's the about when it gets crazy. So they all have handles where they talk to each other because they're anonymous, and they talk to each other on Discord, but they don't actually know each other in real life. And then we flip back to Mafuyu's real life, where she's studying to become a doctor off of her own parents' request, but she kind of acts with like a perfect girl persona. She's the student council president. She has a really cheerful face. She treats everybody nicely. She helps people with homework and stuff like that. I think she's also on archery, and whenever people ask her for help, she's there. She won't ever tell anybody no. But because she can't tell people no, because she desperately tries to keep up this persona of hers where she tries to be a perfect girl, it starts to feel unnatural, and she doesn't actually know who she is. Because it turns out that she actually doesn't want to become a doctor at her parents' wishes. Every time she talks to her parents about becoming a doctor, it seems kind of awkward. They say they want the best for her, but when she hears them speak, it's not as if they actually want her to do whatever she wants. It seems like they actually want her to do what they want her to do. And then she starts to break. She starts disappearing for a couple of days, and then the rest of the group is like, where the hell is she, man? And then Kanade, on her phone, she sees the title song. She's like, all right, let's just play the song. They end up, and so everybody's world is different. Everybody's Sekai is different. Their Hatsune Miku world, and every single Miku is different. The past two have been pretty consistent. In Leonade's story, it was a Hatsune Miku who acted as like a kind of a mentor, but still retained most of her personality. And she was also kind of acting as a senpai mentor in More Jump story, but obviously with more idol-related stuff. But in this world, the world that they have is just an empty world. Very few objects are around. There are no objects around, like in Leonade's story, where they're in a classroom and there's a starry sky, or More Jump story, where there's a stage and a crowd. It is just completely empty. And they stumble upon the empty Sekai's Miku, who seems like she is lifeless. Her hair is all kind of grayed out. You can barely just see a tinge of gray. And I'm like, what is this Hatsune Miku, man? Why is she so depressing? I'd never seen such a depressed Hatsune Miku. So then the group starts looking around on how to escape. And then they find Mafuyu herself, and they're like, oh, what are you doing here? Where you been? And she's just like, what are you guys doing here? And things get kind of weird because her eyes have lost the color. She only has one singular downcast eyes. I'm gonna show it on screen. I'm like, look at that. Doesn't that just scare you? She starts talking in such an aggressive manner, like she doesn't want any of them to be here. Like she thinks that she owns this world and she just wants everything to disappear. And no matter what anybody says, they don't understand what she's been going through. So then Mafuyu, after realizing that like she can't like talk them out of this, and the other girls can't talk her out of it, she just tells Miku to tell them, you know, make them leave. She tells Miku like a Pokemon, like, get them the hell out of here. And Miku's like, sorry guys. And then she goes up and touches them, and they freaking blast her out of the Sekai. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, man? Did she actually just make them disappear into oblivion? Are they fucking dead? It just turns out that she kicked them out of the world. But it was crazy. The way that the scene sets it up looks like they've been Thanos eviscerated, man. Like she just snapped them out of existence. So it's 3 out of the 4 girls that are back in the real world. And it turns out that Mafuyu has been making music under another account and making really the most edgy music ever. It's really good stuff. However, it doesn't have the same warmth that is contained within Kanade's songs. Even though her songs start out with a sadness, they have a certain kind of warmth or hope that she's trying to communicate to her viewers. Whereas Mafuyu's songs, for her listeners, it seems like she's just kind of venting out her feelings as a frustration about wanting to make everything disappear. So Kanade and Mizuki decide to go back inside the world again. Enna is just like, I'm freaking done with her. She's stupid. I am not listening to her. Then she gets all frustrated. She's like, I can do everything that she can myself. I'm gonna make the greatest art ever. She gets frustrated. She's like, damn it! Why is she so talented? She should come back here and make it up to me for being so talented, because you don't understand what it's like to have to actually try for what you do. So then they all go into the world, tell Mafuyu their feelings, and Mafuyu is just like, you guys don't understand what it's like to want to disappear. And if you don't already know what I'm talking about, they're talking about suicide, man. They all have at one point wanted to commit suicide. Now before to the confrontation with Mafuyu and climax of Nightcord at 25 story, let's go a little bit more into why Mizuki also wants to disappear. So, this is one of the few characters that I've known before I actually got into the game myself, just on Twitter. Somehow, when this event got around. So, Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage's stories actually progress with time. Right now, some characters are currently in their third year or second year of high school, and they actually age and progress. So, we see Mizuki in her first year of high school, and she's just going around living her normal life, but it turns out she's being treated properly or looked at by other people like suspiciously. And why is that? So some of these boys, the best way I can describe it is just paraphrase what some of the other boys in her school have said. They go up to her and ask, why do you dress like that? Why do you come to school like that? Why do you like all this girly stuff? And Mizuki says, it's just who I am. That's just what I like. So you can see the illusions of what is going on. And that basically it's never really confirmed. Even in the current event the event that I saw, that was like a really shocking face alluding to her being trans. And so to see that acknowledged, that was probably the first thing that sparked my interest in the game. Just like the scene for the cover of the story, where like her eyes are just like completely shocked and bloodshot, and the scenery is just really scary. So anyway, that's whole Mizuki's biz. That's why she wants to disappear. Kanade, with her whole thing about her dad, that she feels like it's her fault that why she wants to disappear, and why she wants to disappear, and they all collectively see each other and see how they all feel the same way, and how this empty world has been created off of their own feelings. And then Kanade decides that she wants to play a song that she's made for Mafuyu to try to reach out to her so that she can see who Mafuyu really is. Not the persona that she creates for her parents, not the persona that she creates for her friends, when they're on Nightcord, but her real self as she is. She wants to reach out to that true self and bring it out of Mafuyu. Miku cuts them off and tells them, let's all do a dance together. And they all do a song and dance together. And then that gets resolved. And then Kanade is like, I didn't even get to play my song. But they go back to real life and, they decide to stick together. Everything's resolved for the most part, but not completely resolved, as you can tell with the family. So I can tell that this story has a lot more to go on. But Mafuyu sends Kanade a message on Nightcord. It doesn't call her for a talk, but he just says one thing: thank you for finding me. And they all decide to keep on doing what they've been doing, making music videos, because they already had their group in the first place, Nightcord at 25. That's just their official group name. Those basement people, those basement people want to commit suicide. They got crazy stuff going on. Okay, now let's talk about the group that I am the most familiar with, aka not too much at all. Vivid Bad Squad. There's really not much to say about this group. They are an underground hip-hop group. One of the girls wants to be more confident in herself. I feel like I could also maybe relate to her at one stage in my life as well, where she's kind of a shy girl. She doesn't really have much in her life going on. She just goes on stages. And then she encounters a girl named An. An wants to pass her dad's legendary event that she witnessed as a kid called Rad Weekend. And she just helps out her dad at his cafe now that he's retired. And Kohane somehow ends up in this scary kind of area that has a bunch of graffiti, and she's like, oh no, where am I at? And then she just kind of escapes or gets pushed into the cafe, and then she meets An. She hears An singing, and she's like, oh, that's cool. I've never heard of rap before, but I'll try it out myself. And he goes home and she learns a little bit more about how she can be more self-confident. And on herself, she's been looking all around. She's been trying to work with other people. She just helps the community with music and dancing and stuff like that. And she's trying to find a group of her own. But unfortunately, she hasn't found anybody like her that truly wants to surpass her dad's legendary event. Because whenever she brings up the topic to them, they all think that, oh, nobody can beat that event. I can't do it myself. She's like, oh, that's fine. And she really wants to find people motivated just like her to believe that they can be the greatest themselves. Cut to another group formed of two boys, Toya and Akito, who have their own pair, where they're also doing their own work and also trying to surpass Rad Weekend themselves. Akito is a very boy. He's very harsh and vulgar at some point. And Toya is the kind of sweet sweet, gentlemanly boy that you would expect. He's a very good boy. I love Toya. So how do they all get together? Well, Kohane meets up with An again. An recognizes her, and then Kohane is like, thank you for singing that one time. And she's like, I actually learned some chords from you. And she starts singing to her, and An, something about her, when she was looking at Kohane, she's just like, this is it. This is her. This is the person who I'm gonna surpass Rad Weekend with. And then they form a pair together called the Vivid. And somehow they get into an epic rap battle, underground rap battle, hip-hop battle against the other group of Akito and Toya called the Bad Dogs, because they're bad dogs. Bad. They invited them to do a battle, but then something goes wrong where like Akito is talking about them, and then somebody who's a fan of him who helps him out with equipment is just like, oh yeah, they ain't nothing. In fact, to even make them show everybody that they ain't nothing, I'm gonna mess with their equipment when they are on stage. And then when Vivids are on stage, Anna is able to acapella it to some degree so that the audience is still hyped up, but Kohane falls apart, unfortunately. She is unable to take it, and then like she kind of runs away crying after the event. So they all get together in the front of the event. Akito and Toya are confused on what's going on. They learn about who did it, and then like An confronts Akito and Toya, and then Akito trying to cover for the situation that happened. He's just like, yeah, we did it. Like, she's like, yeah, you guys lost, like, get out of here. But somehow within that, Kohane finds it within herself to rise up to the challenge again and perform again and do another rap battle, because she's ready. She's gonna be spitting bars. She put in contacts in her eyes instead of, and she got rid of her glasses, and she put on a backwards cap. Now she's ready. She's ready to spit some hot fire with An this time. And they actually encounter that one guy again in the music shop who messed everything up, and he's like, I'm so sorry, it wasn't actually Akito and Toya and An, and like Kohane are like, why the hell did he cover for that for you then? Why did he lie? And so they do their epic rap battle, and then we finally actually get to hear An and Kohane sing at their full power, and the guys are like, whoa! And then Akito and Toya are like, whoa! And then they're like, whoa! And then they all somehow end up in the Hatsune Miku world together, and they're like, whoa! We all created this world together, and we're also singing and dancing now with Miku together. And then they're like, dude, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the greatest we've ever been together. We should be a group together. And Miku is just like, you know what? You should. You should combine your groups together. The Vivids and the Bad Dogs. Vivid, Bad, Squad, not Dogs, because they ain't no dogs, man. So now we get into the best group. The best group, Wonderland Showtime, was my favorite character, Tsukasa Senma! Who is this guy? He's just a funny, overconfident, zealous goofball who wants to become a star. Why? So we flash back to the beginning of his childhood. He's with his sister and his parents at a show that is about to start. His sister, Saki, the one who is in Leonade, who had been previously out of school for a while, just in the hospital trying to recover because of her disease. When we flash back to her at her childhood with her family, it is one of the few times that Saki felt that she was good enough to go outside. And so the family decides to do something special, and they decide to go see a show. And this show is so amazing and magical and blows their mind and gives smiles to everybody. When Tsukasa decides to look around at the audience, he realizes that everybody has the biggest smile, the biggest grin in the world. But what he's most concerned about is sisters, who he's always trying to take care of. His sister Saki, who has the biggest grin on her face with the most shining, sparkling eyes ever. And he decides himself that he wants to be the one who gives her that smile for the rest of her life. Flash forward to where he's at now. He's applying to a theme park, Phoenix Wonderland. His sister tells him, no, good luck at the performance. He falls asleep. He goes to Hatsune Miku world, and she's just like, one day you will understand what this will mean. This happens to everybody in the story. I completely skipped over this, but for the quote-unquote leaders of the group, they all fall asleep to the song entitled and end up in the Hatsune Miku group and talk to her one-on-one. They think it's all a dream after it happens, and then Tsukasa wakes up and Saki's like, why did you fall asleep for like an hour? Isn't your interview soon? He starts mad gunning and running it all the way over to the audition. He gets in the interview process, and they're like, tell us about yourself. He's just like, you won't find a better actor than me. I'm the best star. I'm going to be the greatest star ever. And everybody in the interview room is just like, But somebody has been watching a pink-haired girl named Emu Otori, who is just like, this seems to be the person who can make my dreams come true. Flash forward to the next day. He gets a letter in the mail that's like, you have been invited to Phoenix Wonderland. He's like, yes, I got the job. Goes to where the job is, on a stage that is rusty and crusty and old and dirty. called the Wonder Stage, and then out of nowhere appears Emu, and not just her normal casual outfit, but now in a full performance outfit as if she's an actor performing at the theme park. And she comes in with the greatest phrase you will ever hear in your life that you will be spamming once you play this game. Wonderboy! She says that to Tsukasa. He doesn't know what the hell that means. What the hell even is a Wonderboy? Did I know what it meant? No, but I understood it as time went on, and she said it more and more. She says that along with a giant guy in a plushy costume who has a really deep voice, and he's just like, what is going on here? What is this rusty crusty stage? I should be with the big wigs. And she's like, you didn't actually get hired. I actually invited you to this Wonder Stage because I felt like you could help me with my performances to help revive the stage that my grandpa loved. And he's like, damn, but you know what? I'll do it. I'll take on the challenge so I can become a star. But in order to revive this stage, we need a cast that is amazing. He goes back to his school, hears about this weirdo who's been going around school with his drones and putting on performances on the rooftop, who's just really eccentric and weird, but he feels that he could be a really good director. His name, Rui Kamishiro, who's just like, all right, I'll be in your performances, let me cook, but I have one condition. My childhood friend gets to be in the group. So then the next day they're all together at the Wonder Stage. But where's Nene? A robot comes in out of nowhere called Robo Nene, and she starts talking to them, and Tsukasa's like, what the hell? There's no way a robot can be a part of the performance. And she's like, oh yeah, check this out. And then Tsukasa, it's that meme. She's like, she will never be singing and dancing. She sings and dances, and it turns out this robot is remote controlled by Nene, who's over off the side, because it turns out that she had a traumatic experience where she messed up on her line and the show could not continue on. And ever since then, she has been afraid to actually act on stage again. But she loves singing and dancing and performing on stage, but still wants to be an actor. So her childhood friend Rui, who's really good at mechanics, builds this robot for her so that she can still perform through the robot. And Tsukasa is just like, damn it, I have to admit how good this robot is, and decides to put on a show with all four of them together. With Rui as the director for the show, Tsukasa is usually the main actor, Emu is also the main actor, and Nene as also an actor in the performances who also does singing. So then they get to performance again. Nene decides that I can't mess this up for the group again, and she decides they overnight constantly practicing even though the rest have gone home. At the day of the performance, it turns out she forgot to charge Nene, the Robo Nene, last night, and she experiences her worst trauma once again. Tsukasa tries to recover the performance by stalling with time, but unfortunately, Rui comes in as the director and decides to tell the audience the dragon could not be defeated, and that the story is over, and that it will just be how it is. It ends pretty painfully, because Tsukasa, after the performance, he did his best to recover what could be recovered, but he yells at the group, especially yells at Nene, and she knows that she messed up, but he breaks the group apart, and he's just like, damn it, why did that happen? Nobody was able to smile. Nobody was able to be, how am I supposed to become a star like this? So then he goes back to his world, because they've already somehow got into the Hatsune Miku world. With the Miku who in this world, if the Miku in the empty Sekai was just like all emo and depressed, this is a complete opposite end of the spectrum where she's cuckoo nuts crazy. She is like doing crazy, man. She has a crazy personality just like all of them, which perfectly fits the vibe. But he goes to the world and he sees a plushie, because this world is filled with plushies, and he's just like, little plushie, why are you all beaten up and sad? And he's just like, oh, I'm just sad, I don't know what's going on. It's like, I'm not feeling that well. And then so he decides to put on a little show for that little bunny plushie, and she just decides to cheer up. And Hatsune Miku and another virtual singer Kaito come in, and they're like, you know what, Tsukasa, this world was actually made by you as well. Look at the things around this room. And Tsukasa's just like, that's the tent I made for when I did that performance with Saki, and those are the plushies that I use as actors within my story, and you're the plushie that we played with the most, the bunny. I understand now, this is actually like using parts of my past. And then the other two, Hatsune Miku and Kaito, are just like, so Tsukasa, do you remember your true feelings, why you have your Sekai in the first place, what dream you used to have? And he's like, I remember now, because I wanted to bring smiles to both Saki and everybody with my performances. After realizing he's wrong, he gets out of the world and meets up with Emu at the Ferris wheel, and she has something to say to him. He wants to apologize to her, but she cuts in with what she has to say first. She says that she recruited Tsukasa so that she could revive the Wonder Stage, because it has been on a steady decline of attendees ever since her grandpa passed away. And she tells Tsukasa that this is it, I guess my dream is over. And she starts crying, and Tsukasa at this point yells and tells her, don't give up. What I said before, I messed up. That's not what I truly believe. If you believe in me and we get the whole group back together, we can bring smiles to everybody again with our performances. And she agrees, and they go off to find Nene. Tsukasa apologizes to Nene. She knows that she messed up a little, but he knows that he did he dirt her dirty, man, yelling at her like that. And he's like, we gotta get the group back together. And they all all get the group back together except for Rui, who's doing a performance out on the street on his own, just talking to nobody, telling a story on his own. And they're like, Rui, we gotta bring the band back together. And he's like, the band, you don't understand the vision. Why would you yell at all of us? You won't even go along with my crazy thoughts. I know you're all just gonna leave me. And he's like, trust me, I know I messed up, but I understand now what I truly want is to bring smiles to everybody. And there he's like, all right, I'm convinced. And they all do a song and dance. They become Wonderlands Showtime because it's full of wonder. They are in land and it crosses over because now it's showtime. And now is the showtime. Now is the showtime for you to start playing Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage. That is what made me want to play the game. This is probably like 20 hours in of the gameplay. But mixed in between that, let's get into the actual game. I actually played some of the music. I was not just listening to these people yap about their sad stories their whole time. I was actually playing the game, okay? So let's get into that. So first impression of when I actually booted up in the game. Back to hour 2 of the game. I was looking at the UI. I was like, what is going on? Where's the gacha? What is the gacha system that I use? It's crystals. All right. What do I summon for? And the summoning system is that you already have all the characters that are existing in the game, Hatsune Miku and the other vocalists, as well as all the characters in the game. You don't summon for new characters. You just summon for alternate versions of the characters. That's pretty much it for the gacha. Now for the rhythm game, it's a simple tippy-tappy. If you've ever played Guitar Hero, you imagine the notes coming to you. Ah! But guess what? You can beat the notes by tapping them. Oh! And that's it. That's how you do the song. You tippy-tappy as the songs come along. It's very fun. If you're a rhythm gamer, you will probably love it too. It's not as complicated or going around the screen as Project Diva, but any rhythm game player will probably get used to it pretty quickly. And I feel like I'm also getting better myself. But that's it. That's it for the gameplay, man. It's all bangers and stuff, but what I'm here for is for the story and characters. And let me tell you, the end to this story is a beautiful one, an exciting one. It's showtime, baby. Let me tell you about the most exciting part and how I turn into the way I am. Thanks to my friend Takoyaki. So this is maybe hour 30. I go to Takoyaki's house because they're holding a friend get together, okay? And I see her sitting at the table, and I want to tell her about Project Sekai, but Project Sekai Colorful Stage. But how do I go about this? I come in kind of shy, and I'm like, Wonderhoy. And she's like, you've been playing Colorful Stage? I'm like, yeah. And she starts excitingly going through stuff. I'm excited too. She's showing me videos. I'm showing her stuff about what I learned about my favorite stuff. Kirapiki, Kirapika, that's my favorite stuff. And then she shows me the most banger anniversary video, the first anniversary video, where it's just a recap of the first initial stories. Because each group, as they progress throughout the game, this first initial story is very long. It goes on for 12 chapters, but each subsequent story after that is 8 chapters long. And this is them progressing on different parts of their journey through their music career or what a performance career, whatever each group does specifically. And this music video, this anniversary video just goes through that whole first story. And then I start noticing different points. I'm like, oh, that's when they look up at the stars as a Leonade. And oh, that's when they did the rap battle. And oh, that's when Emu saw him being weird at the audition. And oh, that's when Mafuyu Biden blasted them with Miku. And then oh, that's when more jump are practicing up on the rooftop. I see everything that's happening. And this song, Gunja Saka, is a banger. It's making me cry. It's so good. It's so well animated. Oh, and that went on for the entire friend party, just me and her gushing over Hatsune Miku, Colorful Stage Project Sekai. And I want you to be like that with your friends too, with other people. Share this with anybody that you know. Share your joy of Hatsune Miku, Colorful Stage Project Sekai. Me, right now, currently, I am well past 39 hours, maybe even 3,900 hours, but that will be the next video because coming up, I will be making the end to that 3,900 hour video, which will be after I watch the movie with Takoyaki, Hatsune Miku, coming to theaters soon near you. Hatsune Miku, a Miku who can sing, is coming to theaters near you, globally, all around the world. Check where it is, check the date, make sure you're freaking there, make sure you play the game, make sure you support Hatsune Miku, because I can't believe I didn't know about this game up until now. So, catch me at that video 3,900 hours after post Miku. Catch me after the movie and just play the game. Play the game. Watch the game. You don't even have to play the rhythm game if you're bad. Just watch the characters. You don't even have to actually play the rhythm game to get rewards. You can just watch the story to do the gacha. You can just watch the story. You can just straight up watch the story without having to actually play the rhythm game at all. You can just enjoy yourself as I did. Because let me tell you something. I still don't know how the game works after 39 hours, okay? I could not tell you about the UI and wish pieces and the gacha system sucking and ranking and how to full combo songs and how to choose a team. But you don't need to worry about that. Just worry about downloading the game and picking the group that will speak to you, or just loving all the characters like I do. And that is it for me talking about my first 39 hours of Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage. Thank you. Wonderhoy! Showtime!